Hello, my name is Joe, and this is the ninth uh, video in the Anxiety Vlog series, which is a series where I talk about my personal experiences with anxiety. Um, in the last episode, um, I can't exactly remember what we discussed, but I think it was to do with university and anxiety, and then we looked at um, how best to talk to people around you in regards to uh, you know anxiety or depression, or if you're suffering from either of those. Um, in this episode, I would like to discuss something that someone on Twitter actually recommended, um, and it's all about guilt and how often people with anxiety or depression or mental health problems can attach guilt to a lot of parts of their life, which can be very, very damaging and very um, upsetting and non-self-serving. So, I mean, guilt is something that every single human experiences at some point in their life, whether it's guilty that you accidentally broke something, or guilty that you didn't try hard enough for a test, or guilty that you did something you weren't supposed to. But guilt comes in many shapes and forms, and we all experience it differently. But at the root of it, it's extremely common, just like any other emotion or any other feeling. Um, but for people with anxiety or depression, guilt can it it can appear much more intensely and um, sort of harmful to people's mindsets than normal, um, and a lot more frequently as well. Um, so, with things like anxiety and depression, there are times when things get a bit too overwhelming, and individuals have to take a step back or do certain things to help themselves, and really work on just stabilizing themselves and making sure that the time period where they are feeling anxious or depressed or whatever is minimalized as much as possible. Now, during this time, and this has happened to me throughout my time living with anxiety, there are certain things or events or uh, plans that you may have made that you might have to alter or change. Um, and this can be from anything as little as a plan to have a phone call with someone, or as big as a plan to change job or go to university or move abroad or whatever. Um, if I just talk briefly about a time where my plans changed, I've discussed it in a previous video, but when I first started experiencing anxiety, it was at the end of my second year of university, and I had made plans for my third year to have a year's study abroad, where I was going to move to Copenhagen in Denmark and attend the university there for a year's placement study. Now, that was pretty much all finalised before I first started experiencing anxiety. Um, and when my anxiety came on, and it obviously, like, whenever any health issues springs up unforeseen, it can take some time to heal and to really learn about how best to deal with this new issue. Um, so I had to cancel my plans to go and live and study abroad, because the priority was getting myself feeling better and to a stage where I was feeling more calm and balanced. And I mean that event where I had to cancel, there were lots of people I felt I was letting down. I felt I was letting all of the staff at my university who had worked hard and helped me, you know, apply for the placement and to secure it and everything. I felt bad for my direct family, my parents who had supported me and who were very excited on my behalf, had done lots of things to try and accommodate my application and the preparation for moving abroad. Um, I feel I let down my friends because they were excited for me. I had been, as you do, telling them so much about why it's going to be great, and I felt I'd let down myself. On a personal level, going to go and have a great time, but also I felt I'd let down myself in that my life as I had expected it and planned it was not going to plan, and I felt guilty for that. I felt frustrated for that. Now, from all of these different people, from my lecturers, my friends, my family, myself, um, I felt some level of guilt. Now, as I say, guilt is a very normal, natural thing. And you can feel guilty for a whole different reason, a whole different number of reasons. But guilt in relation to mental health is much more complex than feeling guilt for many other different situations. The way I look at it is if you had a stomach bug or if you had broken your leg and you had to change your plans, you would feel a bit annoyed, a bit, frustrated, but you wouldn't feel guilty. You wouldn't feel that your physical uh, problem or the time that you must take yourself to heal yourself physically, whether it is a virus or a leg break or a health issue, you wouldn't feel guilty because you know a bad thing is happening to you, and logically you have to take time to heal and to care for yourself. And I try and transfer that to anxiety and the mental health sphere and think, if I had a broken leg and had to change plans, I wouldn't feel guilty. I'd feel annoyed. I'd feel a bit down that I was missing out on certain things, but guilt for anxiety sufferers can be one of the things that causes future anxiety and future depression. I know that if I have cancelled plans, I work very hard to feel better. I make future plans when I'm feeling better, and 99% of the time, I see out those plans and it goes, yeah, really well, really enjoyable and successfully. But say if, I haven't solidly made a plan or I haven't got back to someone during a time when I'm feeling very anxious, there is always that feeling of guilt where, oh, I'm not going to be able to fulfill my plans. Why do I try? And there's this guilt and this frustration which creeps up, and it kind of clouds the fact that you've made loads of plans and done lots of different things. But when you are feeling anxious, your mind is entirely drawn to that, and you can't really often see much past it. Now, if you're looking at it externally, I know through friends of mine who have um, issues with their mental health, with anxiety and depression, and when they have had to change plans that we may have had, I know that they may not say it, but they will probably be feeling a little bit bad, or that they've let me down or whatever. But what you should understand is that those that you make plans with are more likely than not very understanding and supportive people. Now, if someone isn't able to understand when you need time to take, some rest or some time to yourself, then they are not going to be self-serving. They are not going to be benefiting you in achieving your best self. Now, that's not to say you cut people out at all, no, but you don't take their misunderstanding or their, I don't want to say ignorant because that sounds bad, but you don't want to take someone's ignorance and place it on yourself. Just as um, you don't want to create feelings of guilt when you're actually doing the best thing for you. If you were to go out and make yourself feel worse, then you should feel more guilty for doing that. Or equally, if you were to, try going out and you did feel worse and you had to, go back to your safe environment, I would feel extremely proud of myself that I went out in the first place, and the guilt is irrelevant in that situation. I think that with any feeling or emotion, whether it is guilt, anger, upset, frustration, joy, um, pleasure, humor, whatever, whenever I feel one of those sensations now, I take a second and I say to myself, this is what being human is. It's about feeling these range of emotions. If I feel guilty, if I feel frustrated, it's not pleasant, it's not nice, but I think to myself, I am human and I am still on my journey working towards finding my balance and the best regimes and lifestyle choices for me. So ultimately, what I would say at the end of this video is that guilt is a very natural, normal thing. You shouldn't feel guilty about feeling guilty, and you should always try and think what is best for you and not best for others. At the same time, do try and push yourself a little bit. I have this motto where if I'm feeling anxious and my thoughts are going around in my head and my mind is telling me not to do something, I make sure that I do my best to actually do it. Because the more you give into your thoughts, the more that you submit yourself to your thoughts, the stronger they then become. It's easier in the short term to say, oh no, I'm not going to go out to that party. But then in future, the thoughts and the stresses are going to be even stronger. So you shouldn't feel guilty about doing what's best for you, about taking time to try and heal yourself. Um, and also, you're doing this for you, you're not doing it for anyone else. Don't try and take on board other people's feelings or thoughts. This is all personal to you. So, I mean, all of these topics like guilt or thoughts or emotions, they're extremely complex and sort of grand things. So we can talk about these further in the future. But I hope that's given you a little bit of insight into what my mindset is about guilt. So yeah, keep the suggestions coming in. Keep it interactive. Talk to one another. Talk to anyone that you feel capable of, or contact me or whatever. But yeah, once again, thank you very, very much for your time, guys. Cheers. Bye bye.